So I suppose mine is quite a long journey to get to the point where I am today. And I've only still really, I would say, taken a few steps across that bridge into allyship. I think there's still so much more that I can do, both individually and collectively. But for me, it was kind of born from I kind of sit in a place where I am of lesser privilege due to my ethnicity and my disability. And yet I was always very driven to look beyond what was impacting me to what was impacting others. In the early 2010s, I had and ran a tech company in the video game industry. And we had a 70-30 gender split in our team, which at the time was seen as progressive, but actually reflecting back made me not as aware of some of the challenges as I should have been. And I didn't listen to my females employees' specific challenges as much as I could have. And it took me losing the ability to walk and spending, a lot of time recovering to actually start to process that and realize. That kind of took me on a pathway where I spent 4 years as a stay-at-home dad. And suddenly, after spending a whole lifetime in male-dominant environments, I spent a lot of time in female-dominant environments and heard stories of grandmothers who were the first generation into the workplace and everything that they'd faced, and the stories of mothers, the discrimination they'd been through, the NDAs they'd been forced to sign, the abuse and harassment they'd had. And I just finally got space to listen. And that's really the kind of the first step in allyship, is being able to listen and be curious about other people's experiences. Because as Stephen kind of said, when you do that, you realize that you might have started your life on the starting line. Some people started outside the stadium and are still at a point where they're by your side to this day. And you never know how far someone has traveled until you sit there and listen to their stories. And that's kind of now taken me onto a journey through my own work where, I do a lot around well-being as a concept in the workplace. And I was just shocked to hear at the lack of, gendered health kind of insight into how well-being was being delivered in the workplace, because there are significant challenges that women face in the workplace that, well-being strategies just weren't considering, things from menopause through to menstruation, through to specific challenges around fertility, stuff like, PCOS and endometriosis. And there's just the awareness in the workplace was just not there. Why? It's another kind of structural concept in society of keeping these topics as muted things that are considered to be almost dirty and taboo. But it's just health, natural. Why? And I just got rather angry at the lack of fairness and the lack of exposure to these things, to a point where I said, like Stephen said earlier, I've got an element of power, an element of privilege, a platform. Why don't I use that in a proactive way to challenge and bring other people on that journey, while actively working behind the scenes to seeing what I can dismantle, tinker with, challenge, and really cause a little bit of friction, because that's how we often start fires that create change.